Welcome back, guys, to a brand new video. Now today we are back with a very big video because we are actually going to be talking about the reputation of Studio Wildcard and how things are going to change in the future. I hope. So yeah, we're going to be talking about this. If you want to see this full interview with so much juicy information, we covered the whole thing in yesterday's video. But today, we're going to break down everything about what we kind of, sometimes in life, a lot of people say to me, Dom, I know you love the ARK content, the new stuff that comes to the game, but some of the most important things are how Studio Wildcard run things, what they prioritize, and the delays. So I wanted to talk about this in a deeper I wanted a full video for this because I want to talk with you guys in the comments and what you would like to see for the future of this franchise. Now, if you do enjoy today's video, drop a like and subscribe. It really does support me, and let's get in with the news. So pretty much the reason why I decided to talk about this again is because there was some very big statements in this news article from Jamie Hoare. And it's while Studio Wildcard says it can shrug its reputation for missed deadlines and massively enhance ARK Survival Ascended with its roadmap. And being honest, being an ARK player for so long, you love the game, right? If you're still here and you're still playing ARK, you love the game. It's been 10 years, there's been a lot of issues, but there's been incredible content, and there really has. And if you're still here, you're a dedicated fan to the game. You might be new here as well, and you might be preparing for a whole new experience as an ARK player. But maybe for those new players out there, the future can be very different than what some of us have been through over the last 10 years. I'm not saying it's all been doom and gloom. It hasn't. I have had some of the best memories ever. But when it's come to delays, it's come to bug problems, it's come to game-breaking issues, it has been a huge part of the ARK world. And I would love one day for that not to be a thing. It would take a lot of time for Studio Wildcard to lose that reputation, but I would think it would really go down well with the community if they worked on that. I'm not saying they've never not worked on it. I just think it would really mean a lot to the player base. And we truly believe in Wildcard, in what they create. The content they make is amazing. It's generally a lot of the launches tend to be messy, and that's the way it gets a little bit smoother over time. I thought Ragnarok Ascended was brilliant. I'm still enjoying Lost Colony, but let's get into what's actually been said. Right, again, shout out to Jamie Hoare for this. So it was a rather chaotic end to 2025 for ARK fans. Not only did ARK Survival Ascended stunning Lost Colony DLC arrive, and can I say I personally think it's absolutely stunning as well. The beauty of the map is great. The game's first all-new expansion that wasn't just a remaster of existing Survival Evolved ones, but a roadmap for the next 2 years of ASA's life was revealed. In with the heavily delayed ARK 2, 7 notable releases are coming to ASA, ranging from rebooted game modes to non-canonical surprises to major expansions like Lost Colony build towards that eventual ARK 2 sequel. It all sounds tantalizing, and before the holidays, I got the chance to speak to Studio Wildcard's co-founder and development director Jeremy, who is all about this new content, but there was one big question I had to ask first. How realistic are the roadmap's release windows? And this is why, Jamie, I love this from you. Absolutely love this from you, because at the end of the day, being an ARK player, we get a roadmap. Literally, it doesn't make any... Do you know what? It shouldn't even, it's not even a thing. It's literally, it's cool to see the stuff that's coming up, but the dates they put in there, they may as well just put like nothing. I want them to put dates in there because I kind of want to have an understanding when we're going to get it. But it's just always so messy, and there's no denying that. They know that themselves. And I think as much as it is a bit of a joke with the Wildcard team, I do always think that for the community that love the game so much and, and get so excited for things, like we as a community generally get so hyped, and then every single time we then get put down, and if it's a few days of delay, that's different, but it's when over the years, it's been months. So then Jamie goes on to say, you see, despite sustaining one of the biggest and best survival games around, Wildcard has a bit of a track record with delays. The ARK 2 release date is of course the most high profile and disappointing, but ARK Survival Ascended's DLCs often suffer those pushbacks or rushed, hectic, janky launches. Lost Colony was no exception. With many new experiences on the horizon, I posted that Studio Wildcard is getting a reputation for never smoothly meeting a release window the first time round, and asked Jeremy whether things can tighten up over the next 2 years. So Jeremy says, I think getting is probably the wrong tense there, he admits. We've long had that reputation, probably for, I don't know if it was the last 10 years, but certainly for the last 5 years or so. I think it was Genesis 2 was probably us really cementing our reputation, as deadlines for us are more of a goal, an aspirational deadline, as opposed to something we necessarily absolutely always hold to ourselves too. But I would say our trend has been closer. Look at the last 2 years. I think we've gone from missing deadlines by 3, 4, 6 months to missing them by 1 month, which is better. Personally, for me, as much as I generally think Jeremy is seriously an awesome guy, really nice and really friendly, generally I think he wants the best for this community. He generally does, and I know that, and I love the journey that they've, Jeremy and Jesse and the whole team have been on. But I think the way that this was talked about, I kind of didn't like it, just because for me it was like, you know, it's the community is the reason why ARK is here, you know, to this day. This is my personal opinion on it. And I thought it seemed a little bit cheeky, personally, from where I'm seeing it, to be like, you know, we're going to give people a release date and tell them it's coming out at this time, but they see it more as a goal, an aspirational deadline, as opposed to something they actually absolutely have to hit. And I kind of felt, when I read that, it just feels off to me. And, you know, I'm sad that that's the way things are, because I think if they don't have a concrete release date, I just don't think they should say it. I just don't even think they should mention it. I think they should say, you know, maybe even just keep it to Q1, Q2. Like, just don't say anything. I mean, until you know, because we need some form of heads up on when a DLC's coming. Like, you know, you can't just drop a DLC without telling people the DLC's coming, because one, that's terrible marketing, and two, you know, anyone that wanted to maybe book some time off to play it or anything like that, it just wouldn't work. But I just found that, again, maybe I'm overthinking it, but this is just how I personally felt to that comment. Jeremy can see things improving even further when it comes to hitting the launch windows laid out in ARK Survival Ascended's stacked new roadmap, which sets out its plans up until the end of 2027, with ARK 2 now anticipated for 2028. While a separate team, Studio Sirens, is responsible for the reboot of the PvP multiplayer spin-off ARK Survival of the Fittest, destined for Q1 of this year, Jeremy feels confident in the remaining deadlines that have been set. He says that Lost Colony is now in the hands of Wildcard's live support squad, while the separate team are focusing on the upcoming content and has already begun work on the pirate-themed, non-canonical Bob's True Tales Tides of the Fortune, which Jeremy estimates will be late Q2. So as for the ambitious, and then they go on to talk about the world editor tool, which follows in Roblox and Fortnite's creative footsteps and aims to make user-generated content much more accessible and less dependent on mods. He says Studio Wildcard has been working on this for some time, and he says as a result, he's confident that a very early Q3 release in the summer could be on the cards for it. For these first 3 beats on the roadmap at least, Studio Wildcard and Studio Sirens does appear to be making good progress. So one thing I wanted to highlight here is they've said that they've obviously already begun work on the pirate-themed non-canonical Bob's True Tales Tides of the Fortune. They said late Q2 release. Q2 right is April, May, June. So Genesis Part 1 was planned beforehand in the old roadmap of April 2026, and Lost Colony came out in December. So if it's coming out late Q2, and if that is June, then that would be 6 months without content again. Now, when I say without content, we've got Studio Sirens working on Survival of the Fittest, which will be something new. But in that 6 months, there's no way that's how long we've actually going to be waiting for something after Lost Colony. Like, for me, there's got to be something implemented in that time. Because that absolutely destroyed ARK Survival Ascended when it first launched. When it first launched, the island came out, and everyone was like, is that it? And then Scorched Earth didn't come out six months afterwards, and by the time, ARK Survival Ascended had been dragged through the mud, and people weren't really playing it. So that does worry me in that sense of things when they say late Q2, because, you know, if that is May, June, that is 5 to 6 months of no content after Lost Colony. And that's, for me personally, there's still so much for Lost Colony. I'm loving it, but in 6 months' time, am I going to be still playing it? Probably not. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see that. And then obviously if they released, you know, it's got to be spread out differently. Like, I mean, things change, other things get added, and I'm sure, you know, lots of stuff is going to be changing in the way things work. But I just from reading that, it doesn't really add up for me. So really, the last part of the video is when Jamie goes on to say, I also try to pry some extra details out of Jeremy about some of these new expansions. When it comes to Survival of the Fittest reboot, he admits he is not directly involved as it's Studio Siren's project, but he does reel off a long wish list of features and improvements based on Wildcard's previous flawed attempts that he tried to pass along to the Sirens team. And here's the good news. They're trying to do all of these things, he says. On this wishlist are elements such as meta progression, a reason to play beyond just beating an opponent and climbing the leaderboard, background matchmaking to reduce lengthy wait times for lobbies, and a general refinement of the competitive sandbox. IR Sirens, Wildcard, and parent company Snail Games are so keen in reviving Survival of the Fittest given its past struggles in attracting players and retaining players. And he says, I want it to be an optional way if you just want to fight your dinos fast and maybe also get used to some of the fighting mechanics of the game and learn which dinos can do and what dinos can do as well. Jeremy summarizes, and if Studio Sirens can pull that off, I think it will benefit ASA greatly to have that kind of mode, so fingers crossed. And I agree with him. I know lots of people don't enjoy Survivor the Fittest that much because it's not their way of playing ARK, but generally if they have this as a separate platform for many players to enjoy of the Battle Royale genre, Hunger Games, that kind of thing, it will do very well, especially when it's got a bit of progression to it and maybe some form of, I'm sure some form of battle pass could come in at some point, but yeah. So anyway, I just thought I wanted to break that down and talk about it rather than just reading the full article, because I always give Wildcard the credit, and they do deserve credit for making such an addictive game that changed my life and has changed so many other people's lives, and still to this day so much content to look forward to, and I'm so grateful for that. But I think, you know, maybe this was worded a little bit wrong. I think it needs to be a little bit more community based, and you know, showing players that, you know, if that is your stand on how you are with releasing things, then maybe it could be phrased in a different way, and maybe it can be done in a different way. I think sometimes the community just feels a little bit kind of quiet, and they don't really know what's going on half of the time. And I think that can kind of cause some issues when it comes to ARK. But anyway, I have so much love for this game, I always will, and I will always back Studio Wildcard, and I will say when I don't agree with things like today. And Jeremy, I have lots of faith you're going to release an amazing Bob's True Tales. I look forward to it. I just hope you've got some other things planned and it's not a 6-month wait from Lost Colony. That's just my opinion on things. I look forward to Survival of the Fittest and seeing all of you guys in game as we do some PvP battles. Apart from that, thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video.